Hi, and welcome back to the Agentic Advantage. I'm Bill Stephenson.
Hi, I'm Masaki Kumamoto.
And in episode 3 of the Agentic Advantage, we're going to talk about agentic orchestration. How do companies manage robots, AI powered agents, and people to get work done faster, more efficiently, and less expensive, and drive innovation?
That's right. And we also talk about security, governance, data API integration, AI trust, and so on.
So, Masaki, let's get right into it. So, today's episode of the Agentic Advantage, we're talking about agentic orchestration. And really, what we're talking about here is how do companies manage all of the robots they already have in place and will build in the future, plus the agents, the AI powered agents, plus the people or human in the loop, all three of which have to work together in concert to make sure work gets done efficiently, it's cost effective, it's secure, it's governed, right? There's an audit trail. This whole orchestration layer is so critical for companies to think about these days. And I'm just coming off of the go-to-market kickoff that we had in Miami. That's why I'm wearing this fancy sweatshirt.
Nice.
And I'm so excited, as you can probably tell from my voice, about what our CEO Daniel and our Chief Product Officer Graham are talking about, what we refer to as Act 2 for UiPath. And this is really the influx of AI agents that are going to turbocharge processes all around companies, from finance to supply chain to customer care to you name it, and companies of all shapes and sizes. It's really exciting for UiPath and our customers. And as you know, Masaki, we're hearing industry leaders, Mark Benioff at Salesforce and Jensen Huang over at NVIDIA, or even Mark Zuckerberg at Meta, talking about the proliferation of agents inside of companies to get work done. So I'd love for you, Masaki, to help our audience understand, what does it actually mean to govern or to orchestrate these three pillars of an enterprise automation strategy, where you've got the robots, traditional rules-based robots. Now you're bringing in these AI-powered agents, these non-deterministic agents, and then of course you've got humans in the loop. Help our audience understand, what is the right way to manage or orchestrate all of this inside of a company?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, at the UiPath, we call this concept of agent orchestration for the orchestration layer of those three entities you just mentioned: people, agent, and robot. And any enterprise company would need such a layer, especially when it comes to enterprise automation context. So let's just step back from agent and think about some hypothetical company, and the company has AI initiative. They want to build out this smart agent and let them work in their environment. They can probably do very good, demonstration or POC with this new technology. But the challenge is making a production level quality, and also how we're going to monitor that, how we're going to govern the whole solution, and how are we going to keep tracking the KPI, how do we optimize. Those things all together have to be considered. And if you think about all those sort of things you have to think about, it's really same as a traditional RPA automation approach. You have to think about governance and the security, all sort of things all together within the automation journey. So
that's right.
So I come back to the main point. So what is agentic orchestration? Is really the layer that manages all the enterprise level required components, like governance and security, and the also monitoring layer as well.
So Masaki, to that point, what I'm hearing from customers is that many of their bespoke AI projects aren't returning value. But I think actually the root of the problem is more about the lack of governance and data security, right? And auditability and traceability of these projects is difficult. And so companies of all shapes and sizes are starting to like question, what are these bespoke AI projects actually delivering to the organization?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that what you just mentioned is absolutely right. The issue with many of the agentic solution is not so much with the agent capability itself, it's the governance and security layer. So the approach UiPath took is we build out the new solution called Agentic Orchestration that manages agent and people, robot orchestration layer. So the concept is you can build out the automate business flow with BPMN, business process management notation. It's an industry standard methodology to describe the business flow in a visual way, diagram. And so business analysts now can design the business flow because somebody's got to define the business flow very well before you design any solution, even regardless if it's agent or not. Then what you can do is, okay, this step requires some deterministic rule-based approach. Then you apply robotic process automation there. This part requires some human validation, so we assign human, and there will be some opportunity. Okay, we can assign agent. We can build out the agent with agent builder. So let's assign this task to agent. So you will, in the screen, you can see the diagram of people, agent and the robots working all together. And then you can make sure all the process work as expected as a design.
That's so important. I was talking to a VP of shared services for an energy company just yesterday. And she and I were talking about this idea that agents are very powerful. They can do things that a traditional robot can't do. But left alone inside in a company or a critical system is not the right approach, but rather this agent can leverage a robot to do certain things on its behalf, right? So they're working in concert. And then of course, when those two things need help, there's a human in the loop. Could you help our audience understand, like maybe in a simplistic framework, how does an agent work with a robot and work with a human in this orchestration kind of layer that we're talking about?
Yeah, so agentic orchestration layer, as I mentioned, you can design with BPMN. So it's not like some AI function deciding which entity will do what. You define those flow first, because business processes, if you say some transaction has some issues, you've got to identify how this transaction is generally flow. So somebody designed that flow with BPMN, and you assign people, robot, and agent based on its advantages and disadvantage. You assign the right one, and so and a lot of time we see the pattern is when you use agent, most of the time you want to add human validation right after, because now agent is a new technology. A large language model is relatively new technology, so you want to make sure all the output agent makes is going to be appropriately used after the step. To do that, currently what we recommend is we should always let the human validate the output, especially for the business critical transactions. So the pattern we tend to see often is if you use the agent, right after you include the human in the loop, and maybe we can include another agent to kind of coordinate those output, and then pass that to the later part of the automation transactions.
So in addition to robots and agents working in concert, what other tools, Masaki, will the agent have access to in this workflow you're describing? Can you give our audience some examples of other tools that the agent may draw upon to get these processes completed?
Right. So agent has access to some of the UiPath platform technology, such as UiPath automations, which is called by UiPath robot. So agent can access to any built or existing automation within the company to retrieve enterprise information for agent listening purpose. And the agent also has access to other agents. Agents can talk to each other and then do much more sophisticated output by allowing multiple agents working together. Yeah, so those are the things agents can have access to.
Is it safe to say, Masaki, that an agent would ask a robot, in the example you just described, where you already have a robotic process automation in place, maybe that process automation is going into SAP and downloading some information. The agent could kick off the robot to go into SAP and download that information. Then the AI-powered agent may manipulate that data for a purpose, or manipulate that data plus data from ServiceNow, plus data from Salesforce, et cetera. Is that how this orchestration and the agents and the robots are working together in a very simplistic example?
Yeah, that's right. And there's two ways of doing that. One is agent deciding which tool should be used. So that's where we pass those automation tools to the agent. But sometimes you want to decide those flow in a deterministic way. Hey, I just want the agent to decide which tools should be used, and after that everything should be deterministic. And that's where you can use the agentic orchestration BPMN function to design. Okay, first let the agent to make some kind of business decision, maybe which enterprise system we should get some record from, and you kind of make a business decision point in the BPMN, and after that, based on the decision, robotic process automation will run because everything else is going to be deterministic. With this way, the outcome of the whole transaction is much more stable and robust, even though we are using AI capability within the whole solution.
Yeah, and the customers that I'm talking to, when you describe it that way, that gives them a lot more comfort that their mission critical systems and data aren't going to be compromised. Because as you indicated, there's a non-deterministic part of that BPMN, but then there's a deterministic part, and there's a human in the loop part, right? So all of a sudden you have an orchestration piece the UiPath platform is managing, and it gives the customer confidence that their mission critical systems and data are going to be protected.
Yes. And on top of that, what's really important is everybody get exciting about designing the whole solution, but what it matters is how it's deployed and how if it actually works in the production environment. A lot of time what we see is company build cool solutions, but they didn't really think about how we're going to operate this whole transaction.
That's right. That's right.
Where agentic orchestration can help is once you build out the whole flow, this whole BPMN model can become you can leverage this BPMN as an operational entity. What I mean by that is once you build out, as transaction comes, you can see which transaction is in which state in a visual way, leveraging the BPMN diagram, and you can really identify any issues happening if any transaction includes some errors or
that's fantastic.
Yeah. And
I think, Masaki, maybe in the next episode, why don't we show that to our audience?
Yeah, we can do that. We can. I'm excited to
Yeah,
show
anytime.
some demonstration we've
I
seen.
know we're showing this visual here, with the agents and the robots and the people. And the foundation of this here really is around security and governance. And we just talked a little bit about how this orchestration platform gives companies confidence that their data is protected. But in the last couple of minutes here, would you illuminate a little bit more about that on how UiPath is bringing security and governance and data integration and trust and models and so forth? I know that's a lot to unpack, but maybe give our audience a flyover, if you will, about how we think about this foundation upon which the orchestration layer sits.
Yeah, for sure. So these are the things we've been doing last, 5, 7 years ever since we started RPA business. It's not nothing new to us. Security governance is something we've been doing with our UiPath platform. For example, if you have some kind of a password to get into to access to some applications, you have to manage that pretty well, right? Within UiPath, there's a function to manage those passwords as an asset. So nobody who doesn't have permission can have access, and even agents can have access to those information. Because
that's an important point, by the way.
Yeah, you will let the robots take care of any system access, and so AI component agent wouldn't directly have those password and anything. So you can make sure agent can't do anything outside of automation, which is deterministically defined. Same for the API automation. We have a solution called integration service, where you can manage all the credential information in a single place, and the agent can leverage those integration, but they don't directly have the credential information. So even if agents somehow decide to do something something bad, they physically can't, because they don't have access to the credential information. Exactly.
It's effectively a guardrail to protect the customer, right? Because LLMs, they get creative sometimes, right? They do their own reasoning and thinking and planning and designing, and which is part of their power, but you want to have constraints on those as well.
Exactly. And the other part is we have security layer called AI trust layer. So we have large language model deployed within our automation cloud environment, and any transaction happens within our platform with those large language model, you can track that through AI trust layer. You can have some policy around it to make sure the company does any LLM calls is going to be under the specific company's policy. And our fundamental value is we will make those experience in low code or low code, no code experience. Of course, you can have some programming code within the automation, but primary method we want user to have is low code experience. I think this is we think these are important components to democratize those capability to wide variety of industry and companies.
Yeah, in terms of democratization, also our clients can bring in their own LLM.
Right. Yeah. We in the future we will allow the company to connect their own large language model. It's under the roadmap. That's going to be definitely focus we are going to have in the future.
That's exciting, right? Because different LLMs offer different value to different customers, right? And so some customers may not want to be wed to one or another, but may use different LLMs for different purposes.
That's right.
I really love this idea of the trust layer that you mentioned, the AI trust layer. I think, that combined with the agentic orchestration that we've already talked about, and the security governance protocols that you mentioned that have had in place for years now, I think should give customers confidence that leveraging AI agents in the context of their traditional robotic process automations and beyond is going to be something that not only adds value, extreme value to the company, but also is a mechanism that they can track, they can audit, and they can govern, and they can feel confident that their data and their systems are secure.
I completely agree.
Well, Masaki, that was a lot for today.
It was a lot. Yeah, big topic.
Big topic. I hope the audience found it valuable. If you did, please, like and comment and let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes. Or if you have different opinions, we'd love to hear those too. Masaki and I are learning along with the rest of you. So that is episode 3 of the Agentic Advantage. Masaki, thank you so much, and I will see you on episode 4.
Thank you, Bill.